My son was accused of getting his teacher pregnant. He denied it, but she demanded marriage or child support. Then the DNA test came back, and what it revealed stunned everyone. Hello, Reddit I+ here. My name is Darius Grant. I'm 43, own a handful of restaurants here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Not national chains, but solid, family-run businesses that keep us comfortable. I've got a wife I love, 2 kids I'm proud of, and a life that, until recently, was relatively drama-free. My son, Jalen, is 19, freshman at college, majoring in computer science. He's quiet, respectful, shy to a fault, especially around women. Never been in trouble, not even the kind of kid who'd sneak out at night. So when he stumbled into the house one evening, pale and shaking, I knew something was very wrong. I caught pieces of a phone call, whispers like, "I'm not the father," and "You're crazy." When I pressed him, he broke down and told me a former high school substitute teacher, Ms. Danielle Rowe, was claiming he got her pregnant. Worse, she was threatening to go public unless he either married her or started paying child support. My world spun. Jalen swore nothing happened. He said he was never alone with her, never dated her, and that she was only at his school for a few weeks during senior year. He insisted it was all made up, and I believed him. I know my son. He's not a liar, and he's not reckless. But still, pregnant? The kind of accusation that could destroy his reputation, his future, his life. I needed answers. 3 days later, on a Saturday morning, Danielle showed up, uninvited. I opened the door and found her standing there, arms crossed, visibly pregnant, and furious. "I need to speak to Jalen," she snapped. I calmly told her he wasn't home and asked what this was really about. That's when she unleashed, "Your son ruined my life. He needs to take responsibility. He can either step up and marry me or I'll sue him for child support. And I will ruin you all if you try to fight this." I asked for proof. She refused. I suggested a paternity test. She laughed. "Like I'd trust a test from some rich restaurant guy. You probably own the lab." She was unhinged. She paced around my living room like she owned it, flinging accusations, timelines, and thinly veiled threats. Her story was full of holes. Claims they'd had a secret relationship after he turned 18, but she couldn't explain why she never had a single photo, text, or witness. After she stormed out, I immediately called my lawyer, Craig Porter, a longtime family friend. He was blunt. "Darius, you need to document everything, start a file, get a court-ordered paternity test, and record all communications." My wife, Angela, was livid. She wanted to march over to Danielle's apartment and unleash hell, but I calmed her down. We had to handle this smart, not emotional. Meanwhile, Danielle began harassing us. Texts, voicemails, emails, threats ranging from, "The media will love this story," to, "Give me $20,000 and we can make this disappear." And then came the twist. Danielle claimed Jalen got her pregnant in April during senior year, but I remembered Jalen was in Atlanta that entire week for a soccer tournament. One of his friends, Isaac, confirmed it, and we had photos, social posts, even game stats to prove it. Still, we pushed forward with the court-supervised DNA test. Danielle protested every step of the way but finally agreed, maybe thinking we'd fold or offer hush money. The day of the test was tense. Danielle wouldn't even look at Jalen. My son was pale, eyes sunken, like the stress was eating him alive. But he stood tall, got swabbed, and walked out without a word. Then the wait began. 10 long, suffocating days. During that time, I got a threatening call from an unknown man. "Stop ruining Danielle's life, or you'll regret it." I wasn't scared. I was furious. It was obvious she was trying to intimidate us into silence. Finally, the results came in. 0% probability of paternity. Jalen wasn't the father. Not even close. The relief hit like a wave. Jalen slumped in his chair, exhaled, and whispered, "Thank God." My wife cried. I called my lawyer. We were pressing charges. We sent Danielle a cease and desist letter, demanding a retraction and reimbursement for legal fees. No response. Then she did the unthinkable. She showed up at my restaurant. She snuck in through the delivery entrance, cornered me near the kitchen, and started crying. "You ruined my life. I lost my job. The school board suspended me." She admitted everything. Said, "If you just paid me a little money, none of this would have happened." That was it. I filed a police report for harassment and trespassing. Craig began preparing a defamation and extortion lawsuit. Meanwhile, the high school principal confirmed she had only subbed for a few weeks, never taught Jalen's classes, and had a history of bizarre behavior. Quietly, the school board terminated her. As we dug deeper, we found out Danielle was drowning in debt, eviction notices, credit card lawsuits. She had a pattern, targeting families she thought had money. Jalen was just the next name on her list. At the hearing, Danielle arrived looking broken. She had a public defender. Her story changed again. First, she blamed a mystery man, then said she thought Jalen was the father, and panicked. The judge wasn't having it. He ruled in our favor. She was ordered to pay damages, legal fees, and a fine for false allegations. Her teaching license was officially revoked. The school district began a broader investigation. I'd love to say I felt bad for her. I didn't. She tried to destroy my son's future over a lie. Jalen bounced back. He's back at school. His name cleared. My wife and I took him out to celebrate. Just a quiet dinner at our Italian place. We toasted to truth and resilience. And I'll tell you this. If you ever find yourself, or your child, falsely accused, don't panic. Don't pay, don't beg, fight, document everything, get a damn good lawyer. Because sometimes, the truth really does win in the end. A week after the court ruling, it finally felt like peace was returning to our lives. The weight on my son's shoulders had lifted, and we could all breathe again. Jalen's posture changed. He stood taller, cracked more jokes, and even started dating a classmate from his economics course. The cloud that had hung over him for weeks was gone, but just when we thought it was all over, something strange happened. One evening, I was closing up one of my restaurants when a delivery driver knocked on the back door. He had a manila envelope, no return address. It was just labeled, "For Darius Grant." Curious, I opened it right there. Inside were two things, a letter and a copy of a different DNA test. But this one listed a different man as the potential father, with a 99.8% probability. My heart skipped. The letter was handwritten, sloppy, rushed, like someone scribbled it in a panic. I can't keep quiet anymore. Danielle lied to everyone. She knew Jalen wasn't the father. The real dad is someone else, someone she's been with for months, but he refused to take responsibility. That's why she targeted your son. She thought you had money and that you'd be easier to manipulate. I'm sorry I didn't speak up earlier. I was scared of her too. She's dangerous. No signature, no name, just that bombshell. I called Craig, my lawyer, and we rushed to verify the test. It had been done at a clinic one town over, and it was real. The lab was legitimate, and they confirmed someone named Ryan H. had taken the test with Danielle weeks before she ever contacted us. She knew. She had proof Jalen wasn't the father the whole time. She had another man tested and chose to bury the results. That changed everything. Craig said this wasn't just defamation or harassment anymore. This was fraud with clear intent. We updated the case, filing a criminal complaint and presenting the new DNA report to the prosecutor's office. Within days, the police reopened their investigation. And this time, it wasn't civil court. It was criminal court. Danielle was arrested. She was charged with filing a false claim, attempted extortion, and obstruction of justice. The prosecution offered her a plea deal if she cooperated, and in return, she spilled everything. How she'd planned to trap Jalen, fake a relationship, and pressure us into settling to avoid scandal. Her financial records painted a picture of desperation and manipulation. Turns out, the real father, Ryan H., was a married gym instructor who refused to leave his wife. Danielle had tried to guilt him into staying, but when he cut her off, she found a new target, my son. During the criminal trial, Danielle looked like a ghost of the woman who barged into my living room months before. No confidence, no makeup, just a gray jumpsuit and a broken reputation. She pled guilty. The judge sentenced her to 18 months probation, 500 hours of community service, and a mandatory psychiatric evaluation, citing repeated patterns of manipulation and emotional abuse. It wasn't jail time, but it was a public fall from grace. She lost everything. Her job, her license, her credibility, and now, her freedom. Jalen is now 20 and thriving. He made the dean's list, got an internship at a software company, and is finally able to focus on his future without looking over his shoulder. Every now and then he asks, "Dad, why do you think she picked me?" And I tell him the truth. Because she saw your kindness as weakness. But she forgot. This family doesn't fold. We fight back. My wife and I have become low-key advocates in our community, educating families on how to handle false accusations, legal threats, and digital harassment. We've helped 2 other parents who were nearly duped by similar scams. I'm not saying we're heroes, we're just a family that refused to be bullied. Looking back, I still get chills when I remember how close we came to having my son's future derailed by a calculated lie, but we stayed calm, collected evidence, and trusted the process. Not because it was easy, but because the truth mattered. And in the end, the truth won.